Hi, everybody.
Welcome back. We have another episode where we're going to talk about another fun topic tonight.
Yes, we're going to talk about consistency. So, probably, I'm sure, something that we've touched on a million times before.
Probably in every episode, but have we
Right?
had a single episode just about consistency?
No, we have not.
So here we go.
Yeah. So, when it comes to being consistency,
Being good at consistency.
right? Like, do you consider yourself a consistent person?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, I feel like yes overall.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, though.
So you believe that you have the ability to be consistent?
Yes, I do. And I feel like I can let myself get away with like not being consistent, but I know that it's in me and like in myself to be a consistent person. And I also like say yes and no because yes, I am a consistent person, but I say no in the sense of like, am I consistent all the time with everything? That's where like the no comes in because I want to improve on the other things that I can be more consistent
absolutely. I would say the exact same thing because there's certain things I'm consistent at. So I know that I have the ability to be consistent. But of course,
we're consistent with this podcast,
right? Yeah. So but sometimes, maybe you're listening or watching and you don't consider yourself a consistent person, or there's certain things that you struggle with that you really wish you could be more consistent with. So we're going to talk about some like specific things you can do to help you be more consistent.
And if you're feeling like you are stuck in being a not consistent person, well, maybe you can turn that framework around and be like, well, if you're consistent at being not consistent, that could be some form of consistency, right? To push, you to believe that for yourself.
I like that. So that means that literally everybody is consistent, whether you're consistent or not. All right. Seriously. So first of all, I think it's important that if you want to be more consistent and maybe you're not consistent in a lot of the things that you're trying to work on, you're trying to implement some behaviors, maybe some healthy habits, and you're just really struggling to be consistent, let's look at how super consistent people think. Because if we know how they think, we will be able to learn from that.
And maybe be like them.
Exactly.
Pick up those traits for ourselves and what we want to do with them.
Yeah. So I think one of the most important things about consistent people, like this is number one for me, is, well, first of all, we have this myth that consistent people are like, what do you think of when you think of someone that's like on the ball all the time? Like, I think like military kind of people, like just that have discipline and drive and you just do it and you get it done and you execute. Like, you think rigid.
Yes.
Right?
Routine.
Yeah. You think like
routine.
Yeah, like robotic, rigid, like just hardcore, right?
And you said military. I thought of like, the bodybuilders that you see on the, like Arnold Schwarzenegger type people in the bodybuilding sense. Like that's who comes to mind when I think of consistent.
Yes. Like I know some people that like no days off. It doesn't matter if they're deep into off season, their foods don't change. There's no room for, normalcy.
But however, the cool part about consistency is that you don't have to be an award-winning bodybuilder or, or high-ranked military personnel to learn how to be consistent either.
Right. Exactly. So my point was like, that's a myth when what we think of as like these disciplined, consistent people is that they're like rigid and hardcore. Because guess what? One of the most important characteristics of consistent people is that they have something called cognitive flexibility, meaning they're able to improvise, adapt, and overcome.
Yes.
I had to throw in another military thing there.
Those are great though.
Right? Yeah. So what happens is with an inconsistent person, let's say, like, think of an example behavior or like goal, like thing that you want to try to implement, like going to the gym, or maybe it's like,
or even something like 10 push-ups a day.
Okay.
Which seems like so attainable, and it is. But I feel like somewhere down the line, you lose like one day of that action, and it propels you backwards.
And this is the point.
Takes that one time. It doesn't take 10 times of missing something.
Mhm.
It takes one time for that, schedule to be off, and then a whole new avalanche of things come and play.
Right. So an inconsistent person, like, and if it's not 10 push-ups a day for you, fine. Maybe it's going for a walk outside, or maybe it's your, 8,000 steps, whatever it is. If you don't achieve that on a particular day, right? An inconsistent person tends to have that all or nothing, like, well, I blew it. I can't do this. I'm inconsistent. I might as well just,
Be
not
inconsistent,
do it for the rest of the,
or just not care, because it's easier to say, let me not care than work through whatever problem or
Mhm.
obstacle I'm going through in order to figure out why I'm not being consistent and what I can do to get me more towards that.
Right. Whereas like consistent people don't look at it that way. They'll think, okay, well, what can I get done today? Like, oh, I couldn't get my 8,000 steps, but I got 6,000, and I'm going to get my 8,000 tomorrow. It's all about adjusting and just being adaptable. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Without getting into that perfectionistic all or nothing mindset. But also another important thing is that if you identify as an all or nothing kind of person, that's one of the biggest problems right there,
Mhm.
because that's a story you're telling yourself about yourself, and you're believing that, and then you're living it out. If you don't want to be that way, you've got to stop calling yourself that.
That's one of my major grinds my gears, because it's, you need to acknowledge things about yourself in order to identify what's going on. But when you take that identification and live within it and use it as an excuse or justification, that is like, oh my God, well, not with that attitude, we're not going to be more consistent or be
Mm-hmm.
able to achieve or overcome these obstacles. So it is, as a human, I think it's natural to be, oh, woe is me, this, that, and we go through things like that. But to be stuck in a certain way or not let yourself advance and flourish and improve the quality of your life and everything, there's no reason for that.
Mm-hmm. One thing I hear, not to go off on a tangent, but it's kind of related, I hear from clients a lot is that, when a new person starts, they'll say something like, I'm addicted to sugar. And then I'm like, okay, when was the last time you hid in a closet with a tub of sugar and a spoon? And they're like, never. Okay, I'm like, so you're not actually addicted to sugar. You might be addicted to things made with sugar,
Or
you know
the
what I mean?
the
But
habit of whatever is providing that sugary thing,
yeah, but it is not an addiction. But if you keep telling yourself that, it will certainly feel that way.
That's like, I like to, you don't like, I love to go get iced coffee at places and stuff. A lot of places have nice cookies, right?
Mm,
It's not, I don't, I like to enjoy the cookie, but if I got the cookie every time, it's not as fun. And it also makes it more enjoyable to have it when you do. And
mm.
so when you can take yourself out of the habits and bring them in different ways, or still be able to experience those things, you can practice consistency in reaching your goals too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that um it just goes back to like what we were talking about, like in our goal setting episode, and just becoming. We want to call ourselves things that we want to become, call yourself a consistent person. Say, I'm a consistent person. I'm disciplined. Those are the kinds of things that you need to, you may not believe it at first, but guess what? You have to, it could be the smallest thing. This like goes back to, you've always heard the thing like make your bed in the morning. It's like
Yes.
sets the tone for the day, and it like gives you one small win.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way to become consistent. That's an easy thing to do, right? But it's so much more than that, because in once you complete that task, you've just proven to yourself that you can do something
Mm-hmm.
consistently,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So, yeah. So that's that.
And when you add these little bits of consistency, it doesn't have to be, I want to go to the gym every day. It can be have extra glass of water a day, or more steps. There's so many certain little things that you can do to learn how to be consistent that will benefit the overall
Mm,
quality and feeling and mood of your body.
right. I think another thing that's important is that, well, research shows that people that are consistent with a thing that they're trying, a goal or a habit or whatever, they actually enjoy that habit. And if you don't have any enjoyment, God bless you.
Thank you.
That's going to be really hard. So, but sometimes we want to develop a habit because it's good for us, but we don't want to do it, but we just know it's good for us. So in that sense, it's hard, but we have to find a way to get some enjoyment out of it, because then our motivation comes from the inside as opposed to outside influences, because those just don't tend to last.
No, they don't. And like, one of the other things about consistency, what's my train of thought? But I did want to talk about the quitter thing for resolutions.
Oh, yes.
International Quitter Day or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I forgot to look that up actually,
But
because I don't remember exactly what day it is, but there's like this period of time either in late January, early February, where like statistically people tend to drop off of their resolutions. So I just think that this, kind of is a good time to talk about it, because if you set a habit resolution and it's, what's today's date?
15th.
The 15th, and you've, fallen off, it doesn't mean that you've blown it. It's only the 15th. You have the rest of the year to just pick right back up,
And it's so annoying how like your brain or whatever temptations there are that want to sabotage you. But it's annoying, and that's the part about being human. But the other annoying thing is that we also have the power to fight those things, and maybe not all the time. It's a marathon battle all of our life, right? To try and be consistent and always try and do the right thing and do the right thing for our body. But we have the power just as much to start to be consistent at any time. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. So like, if I feel like someone who's struggling with being inconsistent, they're going to say, well, the last time I did this, I was inconsistent. And that could be true, but it has nothing to do
with
this unless you make it have something to do with it. And so that's the annoying part, because we want to sabotage, we want to fall into these temptations of just even, I feel like some people want to fall outside their goals just because it's rebelling against what they're trying to do. I don't know,
right. Yeah.
Self-sabotage or something, even though that's not what they're maybe wanting to do, but it's happening. But we got to overcome that. And we have the free will to do it as much as we keep ourselves in it. We just have to try and be honest with ourselves and recognize it.
Yeah. Yeah. It really does come down to belief that you are capable of changing. I mean, it brings me back to, I don't know, I heard this a million years ago, when it comes to our rigidity against changing our mindset. Like if you had a broken leg, you wouldn't just say, well, this is the way I am.
No.
I have a broken leg.
God, no.
You know what I mean? No, you'd go get a cast and you would let it heal, and then you would be fine. So when we have something that doesn't quite work upstairs, we have the ability to do something about that. We have to be willing to do the work to change that thing.
And I think something else about consistency that people struggle with is maybe honestly the relativity of time, because with consistency, every day we have a chance to do something. Even if it's halfway through the day, we want to start, it's just because it's later in the day doesn't mean you can't start doing whatever you want to do and be consistent at. But so I think the trouble with time is that it's hard to quantify or feel how much time has passed since you've been doing something. Of course, you might not feel the results of whatever it is you're doing right away, but it feels like you're climbing up a mountain, and then if something came up that couldn't do that and then you let go of it, it feels like the next day, oh, well, it shouldn't feel like you did all that for nothing.
No. Yeah.
But when you lose that like momentum or something, it like, you have to even override it even more. Double override it.
Yeah. I like to just use that like that concept of like win the day, you know? It's just instead of, which is another characteristic of consistent people. Inconsistent people kind of look ahead too much. Now, I'm all about planning, but sometimes we really just need to focus on what can we do right here, right now? How can I win the day? And for me, um, like, well, I don't know, use this example. I am way behind in water today, hence actually carrying around the gallon. And, but okay, what can I do to win the day? I got my steps in. I got my lift in. I did my cardio. Um, I ate my meals that I brought with me to work today, and I'm behind on water. Okay, I'll drink it tomorrow. You know,
because you have another chance and another opportunity
right
tomorrow and the day after next and in continuation to make that happen.
Right.
And you can do it.
Exactly.
But every day is not perfect, and that's not what we're looking for.
And I'm not gonna chug this because it's almost 6:30 p.m. and I'm well over 40. And I don't want to wake up several times tonight to go pee.
Nope, that's not pleasant.
Yeah.
Sleep is important.
So I'm just going to let that go for today.
And I've heard you've been getting consistent sleep, right?
Oh, yes. My sleep has
what's
been
the new
amazing.
consistent habit you've been doing to warrant such an outcome?
That's a really good tie-in. I didn't even think of that. So one of my resolutions for back on the 1st was to start reading before bed instead of scrolling Instagram. And I have been watching that, with my Aura ring, tracking that habit on the app, and it's incredible, the results. It was, at first I was kind of like, maybe this is a fluke. Let's see how it goes. It's not, because now, have I been consistent? No, there have been a few nights where I haven't, where I wanted to be on Instagram so much more than I wanted to read my book. And yeah, my sleep suffered, so it definitely makes a difference.
And so I bet like the difference that it made reading before bed, it felt like more of a difference than like what your Aura ring said, right?
Yeah, that's true. I definitely have felt like so much more rested. I felt like I actually, because sometimes, how if you didn't have a good night's sleep, you wake up and you're like, did I even sleep?
Yes.
Like, how is it morning already? Those types of things, But yeah, the reading has made a big difference.
That's a really good habit. And reading anything good?
Yes, I'm reading Mel Robbins' new book, The Let Them Theory.
My best friend's mom is reading that book and she's enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good.
Not the motivational speaker's wife.
No, she's the motivational speaker herself.
Okay, cool.
I forget what her husband does. Yeah, I forget. But yeah, I read her first, the 5-second rule, which, by the way, the 5-second rule is how I became a morning person.
Because I need to read that.
I don't identify as a morning person, even though for the past several years, like I've been up at 4 a.m. and now I get to sleep at an hour. I get up at 5 a.m.
And that's a consistent thing.
Right.
Also that you.
But I have to, because I have to go to work. So that's why I don't identify as a morning person, because like if I didn't have to work that early, I would not be choosing to get up this early. I don't think it would be much harder. But I used to be the person that would set 19 alarms and then snooze, 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 snooze. And then in the 5-second rule, it's funny because Mel uses that exact example. That's exactly what she was. The whole 5-second rule and that whole system was born from her not being able to get out of bed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Oh, so I might as well tell you what it is.
Yes.
It's, you just count down in your head 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you get up. I wanted to make that spicier, but then I was like, then I have to put explicit on the
you just
all these things
get
we
up
think
and
about
do it
behind the scenes. But you just get up and go. And it sounds so simple that it sounds stupid, but it's actually got some science behind it. So it doesn't give you a chance to talk yourself out of it. which
Well,
is the biggest thing.
And I feel like when you read these things, just by reading it, it gives you a different impression or a different insight that you want to be able to do. And I think people would enjoy reading that.
Yeah.
And getting that, information.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've definitely gotten a lot of value out of those books. So yeah, I'm only like this far into the let them theory, but
Is that one
interesting.
a like topic?
So this one is more about it's about letting go of the things that you can't control in life.
Okay.
So it's like, let that person cut you off. Let that person be rude to you.
Mhm.
Let that person, whatever. That kind of thing. And it's about how we react to those things. And I am a very chill person when it comes to the outside world.
Mhm.
Like, I don't get mad in traffic. I don't get mad at, in line at the coffee shop. Like, if someone does something, like, I'm chill about that kind of stuff. I get upset about things that are more personal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I totally agree, because I feel like the same way. Like, it takes a lot for me to like actually get like mad in the public, in like the outside world.
But some people do get ticked off more with just outside stuff, and
yes,
that causes a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And it's just not a
healthy
not
stress.
good for you, right?
To be having those emotions in frequent places, that are negative.
Yeah. So yeah, we totally went off on a tangent, but I think those were really good tangents.
I think so too.
Yeah, really, good stuff. Any other consistency things you want to touch on? What are you working on being consistent with right now? If anything.
I feel like I'm working on so many things to be consistent in, all at the same time, but we're still in
Do you think that's harder?
Yes, I do.
Do you feel like maybe you need to narrow that down a little?
Yes. One thing I've been really consistent with is I feel like this has been an overarching theme my whole life, which is organizing my room and my things. And I feel like really proud of the productivity I've been having. And that's been something I've been really consistent in with, which is going through all my things and getting rid of things and having a place for everything and becoming organized. And it feels really good.
That is awesome. And I'm also have been a very happy recipient of the things that you try to get rid of.
Stay tuned for your birthday next week. But it's one of those things with consistency where it's like, if you just get overwhelmed and you never do it, you're never going to get anywhere. But whether I do, 4 hours session one day, or do a few things while in my room getting changed, and then an hour one day, it all adds up to something. And I feel like I'm getting real work done. And for reference, it's like I have like I went to college for 4 years. I have all that stuff that went from house to this house and back from college. So all these things, like, I need to organize them and put them in places where they belong. And then there's like the clothes and the knickknacks and all that stuff. But so I'm really proud, because that's something that I've been needing to do for a long time and have been making really good headway with. So that is something,
that's awesome.
That's one thing I'm making materialistic progress with.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. And I there is a lot you can get accomplished if you just like set a timer for 10 minutes and do the thing, whatever it is.
And I've been like really consistent with cooking. Ooh. And just trying, like,
you haven't been posting any of that.
I know. I actually did post my homemade pasta on TikTok last night. Flour and eggs.
Oh, okay.
It was edible and it was good.
It was edible.
It was edible. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
However, I used like a Starbucks steel, reusable cup to roll it. I think that with experience comes improved quality and also consistency.
Do you have a KitchenAid?
No.
I have a KitchenAid, but I don't have the pasta attachment. So, like, if you want a pasta attachment, you can use my KitchenAid.
Okay, cool.
And roll out some pasta.
That would be awesome, because that was like, I feel, I know that I didn't need it enough in the beginning, or like before I let it sit. I was still able to do something with it. And I made like 3 raviolis and the rest was like a really, really thick spaghetti, but it still cooked and it tasted good with the sauce and the ground pork. So that was fun. But I've really been trying to be consistent with cooking and eating at home when that makes like as much as possible. And of course, when it makes sense, because I gotta figure out how to do all these things as I go on.
I've been making a lot of those egg bakes lately.
They look really good.
I did 3. Did I do 3? Yeah, 3 different flavors this week. Yeah, and they were so good. I had the broccoli cheddar one today.
I'm gonna get there eventually.
It's so easy because you just lay out the bowl, and you can do it in one casserole if you don't have all the glass dishes.
And you know what? I bet too, you could make the egg bakes and cut them up and put them into sandwiches too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And in addition to just eating it or whatever, however, throw a tortilla on it, fold it up, throw a lavash on it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Why didn't I?
We must always do this.
Yes, this is why we have to talk, because then like those ideas. Like I just had an English muffin on the side of mine today. I very well could have put that in a bagel. The thing is, I usually go for the cinnamon raisin sweet, but then my egg bakes are always savory. So I'm gonna have to get like everything. Bagels, that would be really good. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned something about consistency, and I hope you feel empowered to, whatever it is, form that habit, get back on that goal, and keep moving forward.
Change is our only constant. It's going to keep changing, so we'll change with it.
Good night. I should not be saying good night.